This episode of Dat Game is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. You know, the Dungeons & Dragons movie really isn't as good as I remembered. Hello, Internet Magic Man here from Gamebreaker TV, bringing you another episode of Dat Game, Gamebreaker's first look series. Today, you probably saw this one coming. We're taking a look at Neverwinter, getting ready to go to open beta with no wipes after that, so it's effectively a launch for the free-to-play title from Cryptic, published by Perfect World. So let's spend a little time in character creation. Forgive me if this episode's a tad longer than previous episodes. We do have quite a few different systems to get to. So first off, you'll notice you have multiple classes to choose from, or multiple races to choose from, and each race does have racial specific abilities. Now, there is one unknown race to be determined later. I'll give you a hint. It'll probably be about 2 months from now, and it'll be the Drow. Now, you do have 5 classes available at launch: the Great Weapon Fighter, the Control Wizard, Trickster Rogue, the Cleric, and I'm forgetting one. Oh, the Guardian. And of course, each one comes with very specific abilities. You'll notice the ability on the right there. That's your dungeoneering, your thievery skill. We'll get to that in a little bit. In classic D&D fashion, you get to roll your character with a D20. Now, the game does give you a little bit of a hint and tell you at the top which is your primary attribute and which are your 2 secondary focus attributes for whatever class you do pick. So obviously, play it smart and roll and use your 2 factor decisions there to get yourself as high as you can in your primary. Now, at first glance, the character creation tool doesn't seem too complex, or you don't have a lot of customization options. You do have preset heads to pick from, preset hairstyles to pick from, preset body types, all those typical attributes and changes that are in most games, with a color palette, of course, for you to choose from, are there. And at first glance, you might be a little disappointed. You only have a couple different options to choose from. Rest assured, you can customize pretty much to your heart's content, especially your face and your body type. So pick a few presets that start getting you in the direction of the character that you're looking for, and then take advantage of these sliders here. And you can start really fine-tuning that preset in both head and the shape of the actual model for the entire body of your character. Once you do that, you're just about there, friends. All you've got to do now is create an origin city and a type of lifestyle your character may have had, and pick a deity. Now, none of these 2 decisions have anything to do with any attributes or abilities. These are all the flavor, the Dungeons & Dragons background stories type stuff, if you will. You even have the opportunity to type in a biography for your character if you want. So you guys that are really, really into role-playing, there's plenty of that here for you as well. Now, we're going to jump into some gameplay with a Control Wizard that I've already been playing for a while, instead of jumping into the newbie stuff. Plenty of videos there. We're going to jump ahead and talk about the world. All right, now you'll notice right off the bat that it is pretty graphically impressive. Again, it's not going to push too many computers, but you do have some options to really fine-tune the graphics. UI, from that standpoint, everything you see on your screen is fully customizable. Customizable. You click on escape, do the UI options, and you can totally move anything around to your heart's content, change your font scaling, do whatever you want. Now, the game does focus more on an action-y combat. It's kind of a blend between some action combat and some more stationary combat. Casting still requires that you stand still for certain classes and certain spells. Instant fire you can do on the run. Everybody gets a dodge type of mechanic. You'll see that my Control Wizards is a blink effectively in whatever direction my momentum is going, and moves for opponents are telegraphed on the ground, usually in front of them, around them, off to the side, in the distance. Wherever they're casting some type of major ability, there's a telegraph system queuing that for you. Now, you do have a relatively small skill set that you can work with at a time, but that doesn't mean your character only has a few skills. As you'll see later in the talent trees and in the customization of your abilities, you do have quite a few abilities to choose from, but what you have on your hotbar and that you're able to utilize at a given point is very limited. You'll have a right and a left mouse button auto fire. Those are called your at-will abilities. Then you'll have a couple encounter abilities and a couple daily abilities. Don't get too hyped up about the word daily. It doesn't mean you can use them once a day. It just means to use them, you have to fill up that little die 20 graph in the bottom center of your screen there, and once it's filled up, you're able to use those abilities. You do get NPC companions along the way, so even soloing, you are able to level up a companion, send them to do training, have them come back and be stronger. In this case, I've utilized a man-at-arms. I kind of switch between the man-at-arms and the direwolf right now, just to have something tanking one of the stronger mobs in each kind of group that I'm fighting. Get rid of them, and then we'll help my man-at-arms here. Combat is position specific. It does help to be flanking things on the sides, especially, now I'm not doing it here because I'll fall off the cliff in the background. If you can surround your opponent, you do get bonuses. So it does pay to be aware of your position in relationship to either your NPC partner or the people that are in your party in general. Have them helping you out. PvE is generally what you're familiar with. It's a questing type system. Now, it's not a full persistent world in Neverwinter. It's more of a zone by zone gameplay. You'll go to a world map and pick a zone, and you'll move to that zone and do your questing there. And there are quests that take place in each zone, as kill quests, things like that. But there are also quests that lead you to specific places in each zone where you'll have more of an instanced experience. You'll be warped to your own or your party's own instance of this quest, and you'll fight your way through it and get yourself to the boss and do all that fun stuff. As far as crafting goes, there's quite a few crafts to take advantage of, and you're able to level them all. It's just going to take you a long time to do so. Your character doesn't actually do the crafting. You see that you have these vassals that you can hire for each craft once you've trained them. For instance, you train somebody to do the tailoring for you. Then you can send that fictional character off to go create something. A short time later, 25 minutes, whatever it is that you've had them create, they will come back and you can collect the items, get your experience, level up each of your crafts that way. So you can keep going. Now, right now, I only have the one task slot open. You do open up more slots so you can send people to do different things at different times without having to wait for the one slot to become open. Some of those become open just from leveling. Others become open from leveling actual crafts. Get a craft to level 3, boom, you got yourself another task slot that you can take advantage of. Cool thing, note on this one, there's actually a Neverwinter gateway that you can access anywhere you have access to the internet, so you can actually work on your crafting as well as see the auction house and things like that via the internet on Neverwinter's site. Now, that site is also technically in open beta, and it seemed to work pretty well for me today when I was offline, sending my tailor to go do some things, my weaver to go do some things while I was doing other things online today. Maybe the fonts were screwed up here and there a little bit, but hey, all in all, not too bad. You can also access things like the auction house, your stats. Basically, it serves as an armory and a gateway for other things. So, pretty cool feature. Look for that to be expanded a lot more. Now, there's two more aspects of Neverwinter we have to talk about. The first is the queuing system. You are able to queue for PvE dungeons, things like that. I'm going to run Cloak Tower here a little bit in the background. And that's pretty much the first instance you'll come across in the game. You can also queue for what's called a PvE skirmish, and that's its own 5-man party event. Typically, the party of 5 is thrown into some environment, and wave after wave after wave of monsters attacks the group, survive, grab your treasure, and go. So it's a not a dungeon, you know, it doesn't play an integral part of the storyline or anything like that, but it is just a nice alternative for some party play without having to run a dungeon that's going to take 45 minutes. A typical skirmish lasts about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on if everybody's level appropriate. That queue system will do it automatically for you. You can also, of course, queue for PvP. So let's roll that footage. The main PvP in the game right now is the domination experience. There are going to be other PvP types introduced later, but at launch, domination is it. It's 5v5. Usually 3 resource nodes on a map in a vertical line of some formation. Obviously, you've got your home little resource base. The enemy has their home one, and then there's one in the middle where most of the action takes place. Now, there are debates right now on whether or not the PvP is truly balanced. I'm going to give Cryptic the benefit of the doubt for now. It is just going into open beta, so there's still time to make some key changes. Again, playing a control wizard, I felt like I had almost a little too much control, but I was scaled back a little bit on the damage, so I don't know. I guess it kind of evens out. I can see where some other classes might have some problems, though, especially if you're getting CC'd all over the damn map. We'll see how Cryptic balances that out later. Now, there's a bracketing system and a bolstering mechanic in here. By that, I mean you'll be able to queue for domination at level 10. If you queue at level 10, you're bolstered to level 19. So there's a bracket of 10 to 19, and you're bolstered to the far end of that bracket. You don't get any of your abilities, obviously, but your damage is increased so that you can, quote, remain competitive with somebody 9 levels higher than you. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of bolstering mechanics myself. I know they serve a purpose, but when I queued initially at 10 or 11, if I popped and got into a party of 5 that was also pretty much around 10 or 11, it really just wasn't competitive, and that could have been party makeup. I only did it once or twice at that level. So you can attribute it to party makeup or things like that, but it just felt like those skills that you start picking up in the late teens became really overpowered when you were fighting somebody that didn't have those abilities. Again, I'm playing from a control wizard's perspective. I didn't have one of my core crowd control abilities when I was level 10. I did when I was at 19. When I queued at 19, I fared a lot better. The matches were pretty even. Once you get to 20, you're thrown into the next bracket. 20 bolsters you to 29, and you go at it. Back and forth, hold the resources, rinse, repeat, kill, win. Now, it wouldn't be a complete Neverwinter Dat game if we didn't spend at least a few minutes in the Foundry. If you don't know what the Foundry is, back in the old Neverwinter game, there was a system that you could generate your own content, play DM, if you will, and force your friends to jump into your experience. Very cool. Cryptic introduced the Foundry into Neverwinter as well. Now, Cryptic's not brand new to the Foundry. They've also done it in Star Trek, so they've already had experience with this. Now they're just putting it into a D&D type scenario. In the Foundry, you have tons of customization options you better really, really want to create, or you better resign yourself to just creating a piece of crap. And there's both ends of that spectrum in the game, believe me. You've got options to do everything. You can start with a blank canvas and totally build a map. You can pick a map that's already in the game and then start altering it. You can pick a map, stick with that, and just start filling it in. Dropping monsters, dropping sounds, dropping traps, dropping background music, dropping NPCs, creating all the dialogue for those NPCs, creating branching paths for your storyline, creating different options for the way your characters interact with NPCs and what they say, and if there's consequences for the dialogue. Whew! You could go for a long time creating some really, really great stuff in here. And of course, just like any editor, it gives you the option to test it. This test isn't going so well. I put the damn spawned monsters right where at the beginning spawn point. So before the screen even loads, I'm getting wailed on. And you can pick what type of level character and respec them a little bit to go and test your thing. You're not stuck here at level 1. So you can spend hours and hours and hours in the Foundry. How does that translate to the game? Well, once you publish it, there's a number of different ways the game will actually put your content in front of players. There's the Foundry boards or the message boards throughout most zones where you can go and just find a few quests that are laying around in that specific zone, and your quest track will lead you to it. That quest track, by the way, can be turned on and off. So if you want a little more hardcore experience, don't get downhearted. You can turn that thing off. So pick up a quest at the Foundry board, find your way to it, and experience someone else's content. Or there are NPCs in the game that will give you rumors of things going on in the area, and they'll give you 2 or 3 options of quests that you can go and do. Again, Foundry quests created by other users. At the end, you'll be able to rate them on a 5-star system, leave your comments on what the user maybe should tweak, and you even have the option to tip them in Astral Diamonds if you want. Now, you can only tip 3 times per day, so you're going to use it sparingly, but it's a nice way of saying, hey, nice mission, thank you. And the last thing I should touch on is that whole Astral Diamonds thing. There are a number of in-game currencies. Obviously, being a free-to-play game, you've got your Astral Diamonds, you've got gold, obviously generated from just killing things. You've got Zen, which is the cash shop currency for Perfect World that does apply into the Neverwinter game. And then, of course, you've got those odds and end currencies, things like PvP coins, Astral coins, that are generated from doing specific things and then used for gear or items that are perfect for those specific projects. Now, just like some previous games, like Guild Wars 2, for example, you are able to convert Astral Diamonds into gold, and gold into Astral Diamonds. Astral Diamonds can be found in-game, they can be purchased with gold, you do get them as rewards for daily quests and things like that. Unlike Perfect World, or Guild Wars 2, those Astral Diamonds are pretty much exclusively in-game. Zen is the cash shop currency, and that's what's used in the Zen store. The auction house in the game utilizes the Astral Diamonds, and then most vendors that sell just regular things are going to use your gold. So Zen has a very specific use, being the cash shop. The Astral Diamonds and the gold slide back and forth as far as buying things from NPCs, buying things from characters. Or in the auction house. So you're going to want to have as many of these on hand as you can. In general, the game seems fun to play so far. I'm working my way through it to higher levels here. Want to check out some of the endgame content and some of the storyline as it goes. I am enjoying the storyline. It being Dungeons & Dragons, it should have a pretty good storyline. And I'm enjoying the combat. I find myself going out of the way to actually fight things. So, all in all, open beta starting. If you want to give Neverwinter a try, click on the link in the descriptions below. Until next week, this is Magic Man saying stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.